I mean, should you really buy a home in 2024? Hey everybody, it's Tristan Emond with Mindful Living Realty, a realtor right here in Rapid City, South Dakota, the gateway to the Black Hills. I know as a realtor I'm supposed to say, it's a great time to buy a house. But maybe for you it's not. Maybe for you, you've got too many things going on, and we'll talk about a few things going forward here about maybe why it's not a great idea for you to buy a house in 2024. The first one up is those interest rates. Well, I read an article, they're gonna come down, that's what they said, right? Well, sure, but that's based upon economic data that may or may not happen and all the things, who knows? You can't base your home purchase on a hopefully someday maybe. Those interest rates kind of went up a little bit above 7 recently. So on a $300,000 home in Rapid City with a basic idea of what property tax might be and a basic idea of what your insurance might be, that's about a $2,500 payment on a $300,000 home at this moment. Now, if that got down to 6%, that would bring that payment down to $2,200. If we got down to 5%, that would be $2,000 per month. And it gets tough to buy a home for under $300,000 in the Rapid City area. You're probably looking at something smaller that needs a little bit of work. Some of them are kind of not so great. And you can rent a 3-bedroom apartment in Rapid City for under $2,000 a month. Now, of course, you don't have a yard and square footage and some other things that you might have in that apartment, but at least you're not spending way more money for something that's potentially not as nice. And yes, I realize that when you're renting, you're not putting that money into equity on your property. But that brings us up to point number 2, and that is house poor. While I'd love for you to buy something, get into a property where you're putting your money into a piece of equity that you'll probably will sell in Rapid City in 5-10 years at a profit, what good is that if you can't afford the extra $500 a month? Then you're putting yourself in a position where all you're doing is spending your time at your house because you don't have the money to go enjoy your life, to go do this. And then what happens when the water heater fails? Those things happen. What happens when the roof gets hailed out and you have to pay that deductible to get the roof taken care of? If you don't have the money to put in towards your property, to do the updates, to do the maintenance pieces, when you try to sell your property, the value actually will go down because even that maintenance is important on keeping the value of your home where it should be. I've been there. House poor is no fun. Number 3, don't consider buying if your job is unstable or you think your job is unstable. Now, I know nothing is really secure anymore in this world, but if you're wondering how long your job is gonna be here, buying a house might not be the best move for you at the present junction. If you're renting, it's a lot easier to get out of that lease, move on to the next job, whatever you have to do to relocate to get to where you need to be. If you buy a property, I'm pretty sure we'll be able to get it sold for you, but we might not be able to sell it for you at a profit or even a net zero if you are needing to sell it in 1 to 2 years, depending on the market and how things are going. So if you have a question mark about your job, about your career, it might be a good idea to hold and rent for a while, see what happens, so to make sure that you're not in a spot where you're spending lots of money to get out of a property. And number 4, there's lots of uncertainty going around. I mean, depending on who you talk to, the economy is doing really good or really bad. With the state of the inflation, everything's more expensive. It seems like it's harder just even to buy groceries to keep things afloat. Plus, we've got these global wars and strife over here. This is happening over here. And then this is an election year. And kind of a repeat of 2020, where the extremes on both sides are pretty much predicting that the world's gonna end if the other gets in. So maybe this uncertainty piece is one that concerns you enough, you wanna kind of wait and see what happens before you really commit to buying a property. However, if you feel like you've got a steady job and you're starting to get some cash reserves in the bank, and let's be honest, there's probably always gonna be something going on in the world to make it a little uncertain, not sure what's exactly going on. The economy is always either bad or it's always either good. Rapid City, historically, is a great place to buy property if you plan on living it for like greater than 5 years. We usually see just a very slight increase in home values year over year over year. So by the time you hit 5-10 years and you sell that property, chances are we will get it sold, and as long as you are maintaining it and updating it, as we mentioned before, you should be able to get a profit out of the sale of that property. In 2024, if those interest rates do start going down, we're gonna start seeing a number of buyers come back to the market because now those buyers who couldn't buy a property before now have that opportunity as those interest rates come down. So I'm expecting to see a very busy spring market in the Rapid City area. So now might be a great time if you're looking to buy a property to buy one now before the spring market hits, where there very possibly might be bidding wars and things of that nature going on. However, in the spring market, there's also more homes available for sale. So it's one of those things where you need to make sure that you're ready and that your timeline matches wherever you want to be. And since it is an election year, later on in this year, probably around September when the campaigns really start hitting home and people start getting sick of all that stuff, they're going to wait and see what happens before they buy a home because they want to know what's going to happen with this election. What's going to happen with my money? If you're looking to buy a property in that time, you might be able to get a good deal because there might be fewer buyers on the market at that time. And that also holds true for the wintertime when the buyer activity slows down and the sellers that are looking to sell the property during the wintertime have to sell. You might be able to get a better deal during those time frames. But finally, aside from everything that I've just said, it really depends on who you are also as a person. Some people are just renters. They don't want to have to worry about the water heater breaking or taking care of that. They'd rather just call the landlord and get that taken care of. Some of you have pets and you really like to have a yard for the pets, have a yard for the kids. In that situation, it might be worth to buy the property so you have those things for your family. But it comes down to your timing. When are you ready to buy mentally, physically, emotionally? When are the finances in such a place where you feel good about buying a property? If you are thinking about buying a property in the next few years, sooner is probably going to be better for you than later because those home prices, they just continue to rise a little bit at a time. Hopefully by the end of the year, we'll see interest rates get a lot closer to that 5 number, but I'm not hearing anybody anticipating them getting back down to the 4%. Buying a home in 2024 might not be for you. And that's okay. But if you'd like to have a free consultation with me and we'll talk about the numbers, what you're thinking, what the market's like, go ahead and book a call with me. I'll put that link in the description below. Thanks so much for watching. Have an amazing day. Remember, love where you live.
That's all, folks.